The officers of a high school senior class are planning to rent buses and vans for a class trip. Each bus can transport 90 students, requires 6 chaperones, and it costs $1,200 to rent. On the other hand, the vans will only transport 10 students, needs 1 chaperone, and will cost $120 to rent. We have 1,080 students in the class that may be eligible to go on the trip. So the officers must plan to use at least 1,080 students to accommodate. Since we only have 90 parents volunteering to serve as chaperones, the officers must plan to use at most 90 chaperones. We're going to find how many vehicles of each type should the officers rent in order to minimize the transportation costs. And after that, we're going to find what is the minimum transportation cost. So notice everything that we have in students is in blue. So let's put that on our chart. We have 90 buses, 10 vans, and we're going to accommodate 1,080 students. So our equation would be 90x plus 10y greater than or equal to 1,080. Our chaperones are in green, so let's document that. We have 6. The vans, we're going to have 1, and then we're looking at 90. So we would have 6x plus 1y, this time less than or equal to 90. Okay. As far as the cost, which is in red or pink, we have $1,200. The van is $120, and we're trying to find the minimum. So right now, that equation would be C is equal to 1,200x plus 120y. The minimum transportation cost. Find our x and y intercept for students, and then we'll do that same thing for chaperones. If we let x equal to 0, that means we're finding our y-intercept. And remember, if we let y equal to 0, we're finding our x-intercept. So for the first equation, if I let x equal to 0, then that means I have to divide by 10, and y would be 108. If I let y equal to 0, then I'm dividing by 90, and x would be equal to 12. Let's go ahead and do the chaperones, and then we will plot that on out and show it on our diagram. So again, we're going to let x equal to 0. If x is equal to 0, y would be 90. If y would be equal to 0, then x is equal to 15. Now we're going to find the intersection of our two equations we're going to let each one equal to 0. So we have 90x plus 10y, you like that purple, equals to 1080. 6x plus 1y is equal to 90. Now our goal is to eliminate one of the variables. So I choose to eliminate the 10. So I'm going to multiply the bottom equation by a negative 10. Now my new equation will be I'm just going to write that over. A minus 60x minus 10, and this plus or minus helps us to eliminate, and this becomes a minus 900. We have 30x is going to be equal to 120. X is equal to, let's change the 120 to 180. Just a minor thing here, but if we don't change it, we won't get the right answer. So this is 180. So now x is going to be equal to 6. If I take the 6 and I can use either one of these equations and substitute the x for 6 with 6 and solve for y, I will get 54. So that ordered pair is 6, 54. Let's plot the intersection, 6, 54. Now notice in our first equation with students, it has to be greater than or equal to 1080. So that means we're going to shade above the blue line. The equation for the chaperones is less than or equal to 90. So we're going to shade beneath the green line, or under the green line. And if you look closely, you can see where they overlap. Now we're going to look at the points that we need to plug in to get the minimal rental or transportation costs. Okay, so we're going to look at 12, 0, 15, 0, 6, 54, and that should give us an idea of where we're going to find our minimum. Okay, so in the first equation, if we do the minimum here and put 12, 0, we're going to have, let me write this equation here. This will help. Okay. So if y is equal to 0, and this is cost, then x is going to be equal to 1200. If y is equal to 0, then x, so looking at the order 12, 0, we would have 1200 times 12, which would be 14,400. So due to space, I'm going to erase that. if I fill in 15 times 1,200 and then plus 0, I get 18,000. And substituting in for the next ordered pair, 6 for X and 54 for Y, I get 13,680. So now we can, remember we're looking for the minimum. So the officers will be able to rent 6 buses and 54 vans to minimize the transportation costs, and our minimum cost will be $13,680.